everybody.
What's going down? It's Fantasy Labs. I'm Pete.
Well, that was a very different. I'm Jeremy. Pete, that was a very a different, like, wham bam boom kind of attitude than I was anticipating from you.
Yeah, I guess I was a little bit. I may have been a little bit low energy behind the scenes, but the idea of homebrew, Jeremy.
It's got you going.
It's got me going. It's got me energized. I like talking about stats and numbers and making sure that things fall into the convention of the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons system.
You know what? I do too, Pete. I also enjoy that. And hopefully all you lovely people that are watching this also enjoy that, because that's what our show is in Fantasy Labs. We really want to focus and hone in on homebrew for Dungeons and Dragons. Sometimes we do look at official content as well, but yeah, our main focus is to look at homebrew, talk about how it fits into the game, where it could be improved, what it does well, and all of that great stuff. By hanging out here, hopefully you should learn a lot about, or if you already know a lot, at least hone in and improve your basics on, how to make great content for the game. Because once you can make great content, the game can do anything.
Yeah, well said, Jeremy. And we do a lot of that with our rubric, which we use to kind of evaluate everything here on Fantasy Labs. We have a kind of a pretty simple 5-point system that we use to kind of determine whether or not homebrew falls within the category of, exceptional. Actually, is really what it comes down to. Homebrew that is ready, we believe, for publish in 5th edition, and is of a quality of the best of 5th edition design. And we look at these 5 points right here to do so. I'm gonna mind if I just take them really quick, Jeremy? Just whale through them.
Pete, absolutely. Take a swing at these 5 points. Explain to lovely people what these are and what they mean.
The space point, which is just. Is there already something like it in Dungeons and Dragons, or is there not? Is this something new that the system can use? Balance is it balanced? That one's pretty cut and dry. Playability is maybe one of the trickier ones. Playability is, would it disrupt the flow of gameplay in unforeseen ways? Does it have the potential to frustrate the GM or the players at the table? In not necessarily a way of unbalanced, things like over encumbering the game with a lot of complicated roles is the kind of thing that would be a playability issue. Design, does it follow the conventions of the 5th edition system? Is it simple? Is it clear? Can you read through it and have a very instant understanding of how it works? Is another kind of thing, another mark of good design. And last but not least, and maybe, actually last and maybe most, is flavor. Flavor is, of course, does it make you want to play it? Is it exciting? Does it have the juice, so to speak? Yeah, that's how we're going to be talking about homebrew as we go through our show today. And we got some cool stuff lined up.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we even dive into that, I want to say hello, everybody in the chat. Hey, Frosty, Purple, V-Bunny, Maddie, and everyone else lurking. I want to give a quick thank you shout out. For some reason, it's not showing up in our feed, but I saw it in the old chat. Frosty Pirate, thank you so much for continuing your gift sub that you got from Frog. Frog, your dark deeds are working.
Thanks a lot, Frosty.
We appreciate your support a lot. Thank you. Also, hot damn thank you, Maddie.
Maddie, almost 2 years already. It surprises me too, Maddie. It's crazy how long the time just continues to slip on and on. And we really appreciate
keeps
it.
On slipping. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
I was also thinking a song, but I was thinking Landslide.
Ooh, different song.
Yeah, much different energy.
Much different. But anyway, it's great to see all you guys. We got, like people saying, we got a really awesome show planned out for you guys today. We're going to talk about a lot of different homebrew that's actually very exciting. Pete, I'm really glad. I really like the stuff you picked up from Reddit to look at the couple of options for in the latter half of the show. But Pete, what are we going to do before we get to that part? We got a couple of big things planned today.
We got a few community things to go over. We got some stuff there that I looked at in the workshop and from the completed works section. And then Jeremy, you have some homebrew content to present today to, well, I guess in effect, Lich's Lair today.
Yeah. I
What
haven't
do you
been
got?
like, well, I haven't been super inspired in like a long time. And yesterday I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna make something. And so I made this boy, and at first I was like, ugh, but I ended up getting really excited. It is a great tree warlock. It is a warlock patron that is like a great tree, like a world tree or something. It's definitely out there. So I'm very, very excited to hear what you have to think about it and see what you guys chat have to think about it. Because
Yeah.
Pete and I are but two minds, although we're very, very good minds. But
I
we've been known
like to think that's true.
on very rare occasion we've been known to be incorrect about things. So it's always great. Of course, we can. It's always great to just have more perspectives.
It's very rare, almost never.
Oh, very rarely.
Jeremy, you hit on something which I guess this is a bit of a tangent, but I'd like to point out when you were saying that you've been a little bit creatively blocked lately, and then you just decided to make something. That's a really good idea for when you're creatively blocked. I just wanted to point that out. If there's anyone out there that struggles with that kind of stuff in homebrewing, I get that way too. And I think that that's literally the best way to get over a creative rut is just be like, I'm just going to make something and finish it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's like, we'll talk more about it when we get there, but I totally agree. If you pick something to make and you just do it, once you get to that end, even if it sucks, you look at it and you're like, all right, hey, at least I did it, right? Now I can keep working. And that, more often than not, can bust you out of those creative funks.
Absolutely. It gets the juices flowing.
Hey, Mithra!
What's going on, Mithra?
Welcome.
Well, I think that's all we got for our intro. Do you want to just get into the community content that we have?
Yeah, and V-Bunny, we're going to come back to your statement because I totally agree. We do need more warlocks that aren't just reskins of evil things. That's one of the big focus. Anyway, let's jump into our community content. Let's talk about that. So, Pete, what do we got? What do we got first tonight?
We got a few things.
You guys chat. Let me know, by the way, if this text is too small for you. If so, we'll fix it somehow. Preemptively. Oh no.
I can't see it anymore.
Did it backwards.
Is that a good size, Jeremy? Just for future. It looks good on the screen.
Is what you want.
Yeah, I'll use 14 from now on.
And chat, do let us know if it is too
small. I assume that is referring to the previous one, not this one.
Pixel.
But if it's still too small, say it again, Frosty Pirate, so we know that you're referring to the new one. First things from V-Bunny, it is a new feature. There was a really interesting conversation in the workshop, which I think was sparked by you, Jeremy, discussing your long-time issues with the grappling.
Enmity. I have an oath of enmity with grappling.
Jeremy loathes grappling, and there's a lot of reason for that, certainly. I never saw an issue with grappling until Jeremy one day just started ranting about it, and like, even as someone who tends to be like, it's fine, there's definitely issues. So this feat was proposed by V-Bunny among that conversation, and it incorporates some of the grappling adjustments that Jeremy was discussing. What's the main change to grappling, if you want to just briefly explain it, Jeremy? Yeah,
so, I actually have an article I wrote up about this. It's actually quite nice. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but it'll find its way into circulation at some point if anyone's interested. But effectively, the proposed rules change for grappling is simply that a creature on its turn, as part of its movement, can try and escape a grapple. Rather than having to use an action to escape, it can just use its 0 movement to try and escape. If it does, it escapes, and it has its speed is halved for the turn. And if it doesn't escape, well, it's still grappled. So it's otherwise, everything else is the exact same. There are no other real material changes to the grappling mechanics. And so the big difference there is it takes the action economy discrepancy between one player character using one attack to grapple versus a monster using its entire action, entire turn to get away. And so that opens up the design space up a lot more for cooler grappling-based abilities.
Yeah, And so this was an idea that was kind of inspired by some of Jeremy's changes to grappling, which was a brute feat, which again was created by V-Bunny, who's actually hanging out in the chat right now. The prerequisite for this feat is to have a strength of 15 or higher. And here we are. Your impeccable strength has given you the upper hand in unarmed combat. You are proficient in the athletics skill, and you are capable of grappling and shoving creatures that are up to 2 sizes larger than you. I guess that you could probably shovel those creatures as well, Jeremy. Would you say so?
Perhaps if you had like a shovel of grappling, that would be interesting.
Yeah, that might be another feat. When you deal damage with an unarmed strike to a creature who is grappled by you, you deal an additional 1d4 bludgeoning damage to the target. While you are grappling a creature with one hand, you may use your free hand to attack that creature with versatile weapons as if you were using both hands. All right. One thing to think about in going to this that, so with grappling as it stands, reading this, I would think immediately this is unreasonably overpowered because grappling is already really good. And it makes it way better, but this is the world in which grappling you can escape with movement, so we're going to rate it in the context of that world.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool idea. Like, you have, I think, 3 very interesting ideas in here that are actually, you've already separated them by paragraphs, right? Being able to grapple bigger creatures. Yep. Being able to do doing extra damage to a grappled creature with your unarmed strikes, and being able to use your weapon as though it's two-handed. From my perspective, that third part, being able to wield a versatile weapon in one hand and get the benefit of 2 hands, like, it's just a little weird. That almost feels like it should be its almost own kind of feat. I mean, in previous editions, like, there were magic items like the right hand of the monkey, which I think is also in D&D time, that would like let you, actually that might have been a feat.
It was monkey grip.
Monkey grasp. Yeah, monkey grip in 3.5. And I think that feels like its own separate feat to me. The other 2, I guess I'm not sure about the extra damage, whether that's like okay or not. It'd be weird for a monk. I just don't know, like, the implications of that.
This had kind of just an overarching design question that it raised for me, Jeremy. Do you think that content should be evaluated based on the standard array or on the potential of an outrageous roll? Because I feel like this feat grows a lot better if you have insane stats and can have a high strength as well as a dex.
I think you got to look at it right in context to other feats. I don't want to like look at it in terms of the best feats, which of course the greatest feats are Great Weapon Master, Sharpshooter. These are kind of the power feats, as people tend to call them. You don't want to evaluate compared to the absolute best. You want to compare more the middle ground. And to me,
sorry, finish your thought.
Right,
yeah,
like this very first point here, proficient in athletic skill, like, that feels like a skilled feat. Skilled gives you 3 proficiencies, and then being able to grapple creatures that are up to 2 sizes larger than you, like, that's huge. That means you can now grapple huge creatures. That is a monstrous upgrade to grapple. Like, that alone kind of feels like a feat to me. And even more than that, like, I could see you're capable of grappling creatures 2 sizes larger than you, and then maybe also a +1 to strength as being a good feat just in its own right. But feats are really weird to balance and to talk about, because they're just such a strange mechanic for I mean, they're such an afterthought of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, frankly.
To circle back to what I was saying, I was interested in the idea of, because this seems really good to me if you can have a high strength to grapple well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But also have a high, like, because I feel like the thing where the class that this is the most overpowered to me is on the monk, when you're making unarmed strikes and dealing 1d4 extra bludgeoning damage, is obviously the one that has the synergy with this. But I was just picturing a world in which they have standard array and they don't, like, that means they're giving up dex, which is one of their core things if they want to go strength and be able to grapple well. And
not necessarily though, right? Because if they're proficient in athletics, they can still grapple well. And what's one monk attack so that you can get like let's say your 5th level, you have extra attack. You have 4 attacks per round with your flurry of blows. Giving up one of those attacks to gain an extra D4 on the next 3 is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, it's very close to me in that regard, but like it becomes so much better if they're like better at strength. I don't know. I just was just curious in what your idea was of evaluating for standard array versus the potential of rolls.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, I think the real issue here, like regardless of how you evaluate it, is in this extra damage part, this D4 of extra damage.
Yeah.
The wielding weapons, getting the versatile bonus, that's an average of 1 damage per attack. That's not actually a huge deal. That's fine if you want to keep that for the sake of it being like brutish, right? You can, I don't know, wield your sword better. But yeah, the extra D4 damage on every attack is a lot. And that's something that like, it's the same problem you run into with Sharpshooter, right? With Great Weapon Master, these feats that are arguably the power feats, right? The best feats in the game. And this is definitely approaching that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would be cautious. I think there's just too much going on here, frankly.
And in standard grappling rules, this is untenable. You wouldn't be able to run.
Oh, yeah. No, you would need to be using the revised grappling rules for this to be even remotely plausible.
Yeah.
And
again, that's brute. Little on the strong side is, I guess, the bottom line.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, it's on the strong side. This would be one of the best feats in the game, in my opinion. But thank you for submitting it, V-Bunny. It's a very interesting discussion thinking about grappling mechanics and how they would function differently, right? If
it's interesting. This kind of seems to almost apply to like it's good for 2 different types of characters, which is interesting.
Oh my God! All right, I've just opened the Pebble of Burden, Pete.
Pebble of Burden. This is another one for V-Bunny. It's kind of goofy. I was just interested in seeing like, it just seems like you could destroy this, but I couldn't actually figure out how. And it uses an
boots of striding and springing.
What are the boots?
You suffer no adverse effects from encumbrance with the boots of striding and springing.
Well, then, that's a whole nother thing. While carrying this pebble, your strength score changes to 30. It has no effect on your strength without the, I assume Giant's Belt text was taken. Additionally, you can carry this pebble. You're heavily encumbered, which means you have minus 20 speed, disadvantage on checks, attack rolls, saving throws that use strength, dex, or con. Obviously, this is a goofy item. Is there a way to break it without the brutes? Like, is it just overpowered even without them? Because it's plus 5, but assuming you have a 20 strength, that it actually
This is just really bizarre to me because, like, it's playing with the encumbrance mechanic as though encumbrance is like a status effect. But, like, it's not. It's a descriptor of... It's just a little strange to me. I mean, I get what you're going for. I just don't understand why you'd want to do this. I just don't understand like the desire to use this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can see this definitely being a funny thing to throw into a home campaign from time to time. But yeah, that's Pebble of Bourbon.
Yeah, not a lot to comment on. Just
not a ton.
It's a funky little item.
Just a weird one. Yeah. So we next we have a couple of things that were tossed over in the completed works by Frosty Pirate.
And V-Bunny confirms it is absolutely treated like that. Yep, a funky little item.
We have a little background on these. Frosty Pirate posted these, and a lot of these are kind of NPCs that are in his homebrew world that he has statted out, and they look very nice. These were made up on Homebrewery here. I did a great job. I love the art. I love the art that you got here. This is Wizards of the Coast art. I actually don't remember that particular one.
I've definitely seen this guy before.
Is it a Magic card, maybe?
No. I think you were. Oh God, Scout Rogue, maybe.
Regardless, a thing that I really like that you did, Frosty, is that it's a character in your homebrew world, and the background here is all from your homebrew world, but you created the stat block not as the character Methius Longstride, but as Elite Scout this is a character that you could use for anything, which is a really cool way of building your NPCs. Like, you create a general thing and then put the name that you want to give to them on it later.
Absolutely.
It makes it a lot easier to like use it again later too.
And right off the bat, just looking at the stat block, one thing I really want to commend, and I think this is a really important takeaway for anyone who wants to make homebrew NPCs or monsters or something like that, is to not just make a player character on a stat block. Like, I see a lot of players really take, like, I don't know, let's say like the priest, right, in the back of the player's handbook, and then give it 4 levels in cleric and build it and be like, it's my NPC. But it just ends up so complicated with so many different abilities that really don't matter. They aren't like the crux of what makes that monster a monster or makes that NPC an NPC. And I think this really does it, right? This really nails on, there are 3 core features, Giant Hater, Elven Ghillie Cape, and Covering Fire. And these are what make this NPC unique. And I think that's a really cool... next one is just a player character on a stat block. Oh no, Frosty! That's
well, we'll see.
I just wanted to point out that like this is a very good, a good point to have in there.
This is well put together. And let's talk about some of those features. We're not going to go through probably all the details. You didn't put a CR on it, which is chill. You don't need a CR. You just want him to do what he does. There's a lot of, especially for NPCs, when you're not trying to balance encounters and you just like, I'm probably not going to like, this guy isn't an encounter. He just might do some stuff and I need to know what he does. You don't really need it. So we have the Keen Hearing and Sight. He has advantage. The Covering Fire feature is the first one. When Methius hits an enemy with a ranged attack, they are unable to make any attacks of opportunity until the end of their next turn. I really like that. Is that an existing feature anywhere?
I don't believe so. I think it's an iteration on something like Shocking Grasp. I like that idea. It's a very sound concept, and it's a very simple execution for the concept of Covering Fire. Yep. So I like that quite a bit.
It's an elegant little feature. They have the archery, which is a fighting style. They did take that, which picking and choosing like class features is cool. Like if you want him to have the archery feature, you think he would have that like fighting style. You can just do that. Convention,
it's just when you put everything on there, that's where it gets a little
Frosty, for what it's worth, convention would be you would write in parentheses afterwards included in the attack, because I see you did include it in the attack, which is the right way to do it. Giant Hater deals an additional 1d10 damage against giants and their kin. That is cool. It's a lore thing. And then the Elven Ghillie Cape. A large cape of leaves and other foliage sewn together with spider silk. This cape provides a +2 bonus to stealth. In forested or grassy terrain, the cape provides the wearer advantage on stealth checks. Also very cool. It gives them a kind of an ambush vibe and tells a lot about the kind of type of character this is too. Really hits me in that scout area.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like it. It's very cool. And frankly, I'll be honest, the Elven Ghillie Cape, I like that you made it an item. Because a lot of players might just be tempted to just say stealth +8 or +10, right? Add an extra +2 on it. I think it's actually already including the +2 from the Ghillie Cape. So again, you'd want to note in parentheses, already included in skill. But, they'd be tempted to just boost the stealth and not put a feature on there. But mentioning that like the item is the feature is a really cool idea for like if this NPC is like with the party and they die, right? Or if as a dungeon master, right, you mean for like this NPC to like meet the party and everything to be great, and you're like, yes, you see an elf wearing a strange cloak hiding in the brush. I should have fireball at him, right? If like it becomes a combat unexpectedly, and then there's an interesting little reward left behind for the player characters. Consolation prize, we'll call it. So I like that that's included there. Frosty saying it only exists because of the art I took. That's fine though.
Yeah, Jeremy, you do that a lot,
Be
don't you?
inspired. I used to do that all the time, and maybe that's because I used to run a lot more games than I do currently. I love looking at artwork and being inspired by the artwork to create creatures and monsters. Yeah, I mean that's all. It's a very cool tactic, a very cool strategy. If you are, looking for inspiration, look at art.
One last note I'll say: he also has 3 ranged or 2 melee attacks on the multi-attack. Actually, I like that.
Yeah, I think that actually is convention. A lot of NPCs have similar kind of vibes, and I think it's a good way of saying he's better at range.
Yeah, I like stuff that conveys, like if a stat bot can tell you about the character while you're doing it, then great. So that's the Elite Scout. I think it's very well put together.
I would say as one quick cleanup note, the stat on the Masterwork Elven Longbow appears to be incorrect unless you have some special mechanic you intended for the Masterwork bow. Just because the plus to hit, 8 being dexterity modifier plus proficiency bonus plus 2 versus the damage, which is 1d8 plus 4. Yeah,
that would imply that the proficiency bonus is plus 2.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. Like, I think this should be a plus 3 to hit for the damage. I think. I'm just not sure exactly. Masterwork, I always run one to hit and none to damage. Okay. That might be something worth noting somewhere then.
Yeah, maybe in a feature or something like that. But that's the Elite Scout, nicely put together little NPC monster. And we have.
Before, I don't want to quite jump away quite yet. Just one last note. As well as we have the background and all that here, I like that you included it. Although we didn't take a lot of time to dig into it, reading this as a party that maybe has no connection to this NPC or this character or this campaign that they're in, this could be really inspiring for a player to want to use this character in their own games. So I think it's a really cool idea to include that.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Also, writing that stuff as a DM can be helpful sometimes, just to place it yourself, to have it tracked down.
Say that again.
But yes, the next one is going to be Fervart the Deathless, and the kind of the base around is the Ancestral Guardian, which appears to be a barbarian. You were mentioning it is just a barbarian, and that appears to be true. He's got rage, he's got reckless attack, danger sense. You didn't go through and do all the skills, but you did give him the poison resistance from being a dwarf, and Ancestral Guardian. He gains the assistance of his dead comrades Lortar and Harkar. I like that you put the names of the characters in there. If you wanted this to be just strictly non-lore, you could very easily just change it to Protector, Striker, or something like that.
I love this stuff. I think it's a very good addition.
Yeah, it's got a lot of personal flair, which I enjoy. And those are the Ancestral Guardian features, I think, represented there correctly. I'm not super. I don't know the Ancestral Guardian super well.
One of the things that I would recommend, I think this is actually, because you wanted to represent the Ancestral Guardian, I think you went in the right direction. But I think that if you wanted to make this a more generally usable NPC, my recommendation would be get rid of the rage mechanic. Just give him resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. It's okay. You can do that. Don't worry about rage, because the athletics, that really shouldn't matter too much for this NPC. Adding the +2 to their damage rolls, is that really what makes the NPC the NPC? No, not really. It's just the resistance to slashing damage is what makes this creature relevant, really what makes this what it is. So I would recommend just boiling it down to the big things for this monster, right? He's got his ancestral protectors, and he has maybe reckless attack you could keep, like the Berserker stat block. Yeah. And again, Danger Sense is another one that I think is for a player character, it's niche enough that it'll come up. For an NPC, when's that? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Might
what
dodge a
will come up
fireball from a
frequently.
player. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like completely irrelevant, but it's
Oh, I mean, it's relevant. It's just, is that what makes this character this character, right?
if you do really like that
And
rage
if the answer
mechanic,
is yes, keep it, right? Like,
yeah. Well, you could also just like do what Jeremy said and put the bludgeoning and piercing and the resistances, and then just make rage. You could just make rage like you gain an extra 2 damage to your damage rolls.
I wouldn't
like.
Yeah, that's true. You could make it rather than an activated mechanic, he just does 2 more damage every time. And yeah, I wasn't thinking these more creative features. I just think there's complexity that you can take out, actually, of this NPC and still retain all of the actually really nice flavor that is here, right? Because when it's a dungeon master that's using an NPC that they just, oh my god, I need a dwarf fighter. All right, Fervart, let's go, right?
I like that you added a punch for him too.
They see all these features and they go, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, no way, I'm not reading all this, right?
Yep.
So, because I'll tell you, 9 out of 10 times the DM's not even going to remember he has danger sense. After they're running 7 monsters, and then there's the player characters and the NPC and all the things that are going wrong, they're not going to remember that Fervart has danger sense. So don't worry about it, putting it on there, at least in my opinion. And I agree with Pete. I think having the fist on there is really nice.
Great to have another attack option.
Just having that says a lot about this character too, right? Like,
absolutely. And it gives the thing that, like, it's not a standard unarmed strike. He's good at using his fists. It also kind of carries that, the 1d4 plus 2.
Totally agree.
If you want the character to fight in that way. Anyway, I like this Ancestral Guardian as well. Yeah, I think you're selling yourself even maybe a little bit short saying that it was just like a character made into an NPC.
I see. You rolled them up for players to run on a side quest. I get you. That's a little different. I think if you're going to use this as something that a player will control for like a side adventure, I think that's perfectly reasonable to include those extra features. Totally get you now.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
But
yeah, it's very cool.
We got one more thing to look at, and that's also by Frosty Pirate, and that is the revised College of Eloquence. He mentioned that he had told you that he was going to do this, Jeremy.
Challenged to complete the new College of Eloquence, but was it completed?
And I believe it had the comment. Still needs some work. Still might be overpowered, but here it is. Do you want to start, Jeremy?
Absolutely. College of Eloquence. Bards of the College of Eloquence are passionate public speakers who have mastered the art of inspiring others with magically enhanced speeches, poems, and limericks. They can inspire crowds of followers to perform heroic acts or even sow doubt in their enemies, sapping their strength and resolve with a mere, well-structured sentence. Speaking of which, you missed the of with the art of inspiring others.
0 out of 5.
0 out of 5, not eloquent. I'm going to go to their first feature, Preparatory Performance at 3rd level. When you join the College of Eloquence, when you join the College of Eloquence at 3rd level, you learn the art of preparing and memorizing speeches to inspire the masses. At the end of a long rest, when a bard would regain their bardic inspiration dice, they may choose to roll up to 2 of those dice and record the numbers rolled. You can assign each of these pre-rolled inspiration dice once per day when you perform bardic inspiration. I love that feature.
Yeah, it lets you.
I really like that.
Just know what a couple of them are in advance.
I think that is awesome. That is super fitting too for the a little bit of the divination wizard feel, but it's like, I gotta prep my speech. I love that. That's very cool. I will also. Pete, you want to continue with Universal Speech, or do you?
I'll do Universal. That's a 3rd level one. Why don't you grab it?
Also 3rd level, Universal Speech. You have been trained to enhance your words and gain the ability to make your speech intelligible to any creature. As an action, choose 1 or more creatures within 30 feet of you, up to a number equal to your charisma modifier, a minimum of 1 creature. The chosen creatures can magically understand you, regardless of the language you speak, for 1 hour.
And that is
exactly
60
the same.
feet. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
I really like that feature.
Yeah, that was a good one to keep from
as it
from
was.
the Theros.
And Preparatory Performance is a fun take on inspiration. I really like both of these. Strong start.
All bards need something that affects their inspiration at 3rd level. That is
a true convention.
You got to do it. Yeah.
Every single bard has done it, so you got to keep doing it until Wizards decides you can stop. Is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, pretty much. Pete, you want to take? Oh my goodness! Enjoy your burrito. Thank you for the Tier 1 subscription for 9 months. I'm going to enjoy this. I enjoy this subscription. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man.
Pete, you want to take 6th level?
I absolutely would love to. I would absolutely love to take 6th level. You can spin words laced with magic that unsettle a creature and cause it to doubt itself. As a bonus action, you can expend one of your Bardic Inspiration and choose one creature that you can hear within 60 feet. Roll the Bardic Inspiration die. The creature must subtract the rolled number from the damage of each successful attack it makes until the end of its next turn.
I like that too.
Interesting. Yeah.
What does that compare to? Like, what do the other bards get at 6th level?
Well, the thing is that here's why I'm a little bit reticent off the bat on this one, is because it is doubling down into Bardic Inspiration.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't like it when too many features tie into specifically Bardic Inspiration, because then you get so few of them, you know?
Yeah, no, that is definitely an issue.
But I also do very much like the actual mechanic of this. I think that's a really creative mechanic of subtracting one number from all of their damage rolls for a round. That's very cool.
Yeah, I do. I like the concept. I'm wondering. Now that wouldn't fit as like a third. It's too good for a 3rd level feature, I think. Interesting. It steps on another bard's toes when he says, "I'm not sure it does." I mean, I think you're referring to the College of Lore's cutting words or something.
Yeah, that would be the closest thing.
I don't think so. College of Lore gets to do it as a reaction on a really important role. This is a preemptive thing, which might just do nothing, frankly. And that's kind of one of the problems I wanted to point out with it. Although I do like this conceptually, it has the potential to really frustrate a player if then the monster doesn't attack for some reason. Maybe they cast a spell, maybe they run away, maybe they use the help action.
It's situational.
I think it's a cool concept and it could be explored further.
Yeah, I very much like the mechanic. Arcane Inspiration. Having mastered the art of weaving words into spells, you've also gained the ability to weave your spells into your words. When performing Bardic Inspiration, you may expend a spell slot up to a maximum of 3rd level to inspire additional creatures. The number of additional creatures you can affect is equivalent to the level of the spell expended. So this is interesting. When you use your inspiration, you can extend your inspiration to multiple people at the cost of a spell slot. So you could inspire up to 4 people by expending a 3rd level spell slot when you use your Bardic Inspiration.
I like that, actually. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that necessarily strikes me as eloquence, but I like it a lot. It's weird. You got 3 features here that, like, the 3 inspiration features, I like all of them.
Yeah, I like all the mechanics.
All belong in the same rogue or the same bard necessarily.
If I was looking at it like a newer College of Eloquence, the thing I'd really want to see is like, I feel like they do need a very, I don't know, the Preparatory Performance hits it pretty well, but I do kind of want like a inspiring speech where like they take a moment and speak and something happens as a result of it, like to give a boon feels like something that I want this class to have.
Yeah, and Frosty in chat was saying, I made it all about the inspiration, side eyes. Yeah, no, I mean, that's very fair. That's very fair.
I mean, these are all cool mechanics. I don't know if this also fully hits the eloquence vibe for me. But I think there's also a lot of stuff in here that also this was, you said, like a very rough draft. I think there's a lot of just mechanics that could be very very interesting to like expand on more, even if like not in this too. Discouraging discourse, I'm really interested in too.
Yeah, very cool features. I like this a lot. The thing that is interesting, I wonder if there's some way. Maybe it's fine. I'm just wondering if there's a way to like, because it's all about the inspiration, if there's something in here that could like help, like that could regain the inspiration in some way, or maybe increase your pool of inspiration. I'm just not sure where that would go. Like,
yeah,
maybe that's under preparatory performance. Maybe you get 2 extra die that you roll, and they're just extra inspirations right on top of your normal ones. That might be where I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying, Pete?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the thing is, someone who's played a lot of Bard, the thing that's really frustrating about a high-level Bard is the lack of inspiration. And if this is going to play in so heavily to the inspiration and like make that so core to what defines my subclass, I would appreciate getting a little bit more of that resource, or just, you know, tying some of these features elsewhere.
I you know, an interesting, Frosty Power was worried that it was going to be too strong. Frosty, here's the thing, right? Like, most other bards get more features, and those features aren't all tied to the same resource, right? They're resourceless. And so although individually all of these features might be stronger, because they're all tied to the same inspiration resource, it's another option, like Discouraging Discourse, which great name, by the way. I love the alliteration. That feature is another option. It's a side branch. It's not a straight power up. And I think that's where like you can afford for that to be very powerful, and it is very powerful. In fact, it might be so powerful that maybe it needs like a limit, right? You can only do it once to a creature. Because man, when that gets to the D12s, if you could just do that every turn to like the same creature, that might be too strong.
There are characters there are monsters that would cripple.
Like a lot of them. Let's say you roll the 12, even if you get the average of like a 7, I think on the D12, right? Like,
well, I'm saying like monsters that are favored towards low damage, high number of attacks would just get destroyed by Discouraging Discourse. And there's also a lot of monsters like, you know, I guess Tarrasque is both, but like things that just hit in large chunks are going to be kind of unaffected by it. So it's,
I don't say unaffected, but
well, I mean, like a purple worm, for example, which just has one attack that does what, like 60, 12 or something. It's really like, you know.
I think it's got 2. Most of those have at least 2 attacks.
I think it anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is this is a cool take. I think it's a cool direction for the College of Eloquence. I mean, I like this kind of better than the College of Eloquence, certainly.
I like this a lot better than the College of Eloquence. A lot better.
I like your choice to keep universal speech. Yeah, it's a cool take.
Yep. And
thanks
again,
a lot, Rusty.
Yeah, thank you very much. I love this. All right, let's that's the end of those guys. And again, there are other awesome ideas that were shared, really cool things to look at for inspiration and for concepts, but they're things that Pete and I really felt we couldn't like contribute a lot to, that are also shared on our Discord. You can check that out by jumping to our website, dndtime.stream, and hitting the big old Discord button up at the top and joining our little community. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, come join us. What's next on the totem pole, Pete? Is it
Jeremy, hit the button?
Oh no, wait, this is the wrong one. Oh no. We gotta go to the Lich's Lair.
We have a Gorino on the stream.